I'm Lilith. I'm a product manager and a no-code builder. And over the last couple of years, I learned quite a lot about no-code. I come especially from the field of automation and no-code. And in my last company, we used quite a lot of automations that saved us a lot of time and boosted productivity. So in the next few videos, I want to show you the most useful apps that we built, or the most useful automations, and share them with you. I hope you're going to like it. All right. So this is the Zapier kind of where you find all your zaps. Once you log in, you find your dashboard, which is not that interesting for us right now. We want to go to all our zaps. So I prepared already a folder, which is called Lilith Builds, like the YouTube channel. And first of all, I want to start a new zap, which means a new automation. So Zapier basically works like this. We always have a trigger, which is kind of the starting point of our automation. And then we have steps above that. So that can be an action, like putting something in a Google Sheet, by example, or a search, like searching for a specific row in Google Sheets or Airtable or whatever you like. So it's basically on a principle, if this happens, then do this. Actually, in the past, Zapier was built up like this. The trigger was called like, if this happens, then do this as an action. But anyway, so now I can start my automation. So first of all, I would like to name my zap so I can find it easily again. Let's say newsletter automation. And then I can choose my trigger. So my website is built in Webflow. So I also use Webflow forms, but you could also use any other form. You can choose basically whatever form tool you like. And Zapier has connected a lot of apps, so yours is probably in there as well. As I said, I'm going to use the trigger Webflow, and I want to have the event form submission. So when a new form submission comes in, then it should trigger. So next one, they want me to choose an account. I only have one, so I'm going to choose that one. You can also rename them also. That might make sense if you have multiple accounts. And now I can set up the trigger. If you have multiple sites, choose one. I only have one for a little build right now. And I only have one form right now, just to show you how that looks. Okay, so now I want to continue, and I can test my trigger. So in order to do that, I need data first, like some kind of test data. So I'm gonna go to my Webflow page, and this is only like I only built that for little builds, so to test stuff out. So this looks pretty boring. I want to type in my email address. I'm just going to say this one. So this is also my contact email in case you want to contact me. And we say sign up. All right. So now we should see exactly that one. There we go. There's my entry. And now I have my first data, and my first step is set up. All right, next step. So what I would like to do now is to get the email and the name into my Mailchimp or whatever newsletter tool you use. In my case, it's Mailchimp. But before I want to do that, I want to make sure that the email is formatted right. So some people like to, capitalize their emails, and I like to have my tools kind of organized and my data. So what I'm going to do, I use a step called Formatter by Zapier. And what I want to do, is to lowercase the email. Like when you have a capitalized letter at the beginning of the email, that can sometimes lead to trouble. So I like to just format this one to make sure there's not any trouble with it. So what I want to do is, like I said, I choose the app Formata by Zapier. And next I want to choose text because I want to lowercase the email. All right. When I chose text, then I can say, okay, what do I want to do with the text? And here we go. I want to lowercase the text. My input is from my first step. So when you have dynamic data, you can always click in the fields and then it shows you the previous steps where you can get data from. So I'm going to choose this one. And now it's not capitalized, so we won't see any difference. All right, let's say test and review, and my output is hello@littlepodcast.com. All right, so next thing I want to do is I want to rename that one, so I can see later what I did in the step, and it doesn't not only say text, lowercase email. All right, now I say close. Okay, next step I want to do, I want to put that data into my newsletter tool, which is Mailchimp in my case. All right, so we chose Mailchimp. And then what I want to do is add update subscriber. Add update is always good because if it would only add, then you might have doubled ones. And I'm not sure even if Mailchimp has this function to only add one, but it's always good to add or update a subscriber in basically any tool you use. All right, it wants me to connect the account again. All right, then it wants me to choose the audience. I only have one right now. And subscriber email. This is mandatory. I'm gonna use that one. Double opt-in, especially when you're from Europe, you should definitely choose true, because then it gets the subscriber gets the confirmation email first, and he or she will only be subscribed if he clicks on the confirmation link. To show you right now, I'm going to click it on false because I want to have it directly in Mailchimp, and it's only my email address. But for every automation you set up, you should say for your newsletter tool, it should be a double opt-in. But for testing right now, I'm going to show you without a double opt-in, so I don't have to go into my mail account. But yeah, you should always set double opt-in to true. All right, then here again, we have update existing. We can say yes or no to that. I would recommend always to say yes to that, just in case you have some reason to not to do it, then all good. But anyway, all right. So we gave in the audience, the email. We set up in a normal case, we would set up the double opt-in to true. And now we want to enter the first name. Okay, so, well, now we only have the name, which are both names, like the first name and the last name. So what we're going to do, because Mailchimp, and I really like to call my subscribers by their first name, I want to have only the first name. So what we can do, we can go a step back and add another step in between them, which is also the formatter. And this time I don't want to lowercase anything, but I still want to work with text. And then I want to split those two words. Here's the function for that. Split text. And I input the name. The separator should be a space. And I want to have all the fields, because I only have 2. And if you have 3, then you can still say, okay, first name and middle name. So that's what I want to do. I have my input, which is the full name, and now I want to have it as first and last name. All right, shows me again what data to input. Let's test and review. And there we go. We have 2 items out of the name now, which is the first name and the last name. Let's rename that step real quick. So to find it later again. All right, then we can go back to our Mailchimp step. And let's see. Okay, now we have the first name, and I can choose that one. And the last name is that one. All right. So here we go. Let's test that. It says it was successful. Let's check that. This is my Mailchimp account. And there we go. This is my email address, my first name, my last name. It's a newsletter subscriber. And it says the source is by Zapier. And right now it says subscribe. If you have a double opt-in in there, it won't show here until you click the confirmation email. So yeah, always consider that. All good. Let's go back to our Zap. All right, so this would be a full Zap. We can stop here. But if you have another CRM, like something like Hubspot or Salesforce or Pipedrive or any tool like that, like a sales tool, then you can also put your subscribers in there and tag them as a newsletter subscriber. So in my case, that would be HubSpot, but it kind of works the same for every tool. So 5th step, I chose the app, and now I'm going to choose an event. I want to add a contact. And here HubSpot tells me I can create a contact. I could do that, but as I said before, it's always better to create or update a contact so that you don't have double ones. So I always choose create or update a contact. So in case, like, I don't know, someone has a new email or so, then you still have the whole thing in your CRM. Also, of course, you have these forms also by HubSpot, but I think they're not in the free version. So that's why I'm using another form. All right. So now we are in the HubSpot action setup, I would say. And this is really, really long. That's kind of annoying in the HubSpot app in Zapier. But anyway, we're gonna go through this real quick. All right, so first of all, we have the contact email. And next one, we have the first name and the last name. So I'm gonna search for, there we go, first name. I'm again choosing not my form submission, my step 1, but my step 3, where I split the name. And my first name is Lilith. And my last name is, that was my bad. I wanted to put in static data, but we're gonna do dynamic data. All right. So as you can see, you can add lots and lots and lots of data in here, which is pretty cool. We set up all the data that we have. So as you see, there are a lot of data you can add. I say test and review. There we go. Now you see it updated the contact because it already had the email address, and it just updated the name because he hadn't done it before. Now we have the HubSpot step. I say close, and the next thing I want to do, especially if you're a small company, if you're bigger, that kind of can get annoying, or if you have a new newsletter or something like that, I always like to add Slack notifications. So your team can actually see like, hey, we have a new subscriber. Or if you launched an event or if you made a social media post, you can directly see or have the feeling kind of that more subscribers are coming when you do a certain action. So, and that's important, or I always find it important to have that notification. You can also mute them, mute these channels in Slack, but I just like to have these. I think it's really good for the team. I'm sorry, I was probably a little bit fast for that. So first of all, we choose the app. Set the event, I want to send a channel message, or in case you have a private channel, you can always send private channel message. There are a lot of functions within Slack too. So I'm going to choose the account. I just set up a workspace only for this channel, so nobody's in there except for me to not annoy anyone. I want to go to the bot newsletter. I set up a channel for that. And now I can set up the text. All right, I want to say name, just signed up for the newsletter. You can simply put in text in here. And then I want to add the email address. I want to send it as a bot. The bot name should be newsletter subscriber, or we can just say newsletter bot, not newsletter subscriber, because maybe we want to build another newsletter bot. New newsletter subscriber. There we go. Okay, the bot icon. I really like the icons. So let's find one with a. This is Slack, by the way. Let's find a bot with a letter. If we're gonna make it right, let's take a love letter. All right, I want to have that one. Go back to my Zap and say, I want to have this bot icon. All right, I don't want to include a link to the Zap. This is helpful if you set up a error bot, by example. If you have a bug in your Zap or an error in your Zap, then it's always cool to have a direct link to your Zap. But other than that, it just makes the message really big. So I don't like to have it in there. Only for links where you really need to have a direct link to the Zap. All right, let's say continue. Let's say test and review. Let's say close. And now we're ready to turn our Zap on. So, gonna turn it on. And quick review. Yes, I want to share the Zap in a bit. But quick review first. So we have our form submission in Webflow as a trigger. Then we lowercase the email. Then we split the name. Then we add or update the subscriber in Mailchimp. Always remember to set the double opt-in to true. Then create or update the contact in Hubspot. And then send a channel message in Slack. Oh, by the way, we can quickly check that. There we go. We have our bot icon. We have our bot name and our data. Therefore, you can also see who signed up twice and why that might be. Maybe they don't get a right confirmation email, something like that. So it always makes sense to have these kinds of bots in your Slack, even if there's just a bot newsletter channel. But once in a while, looking in there really makes sense. All right, so I would say, let's try this out. Okay, so we're on our page with the newsletter. I want to say, okay, to differentiate that, let's say, okay, put a 1 in both names. Let's check quickly if the app is on. Yes, it's on. And say, sign up. Let's see. Do we have any contacts in here? It should yeah, there we go. The name is updated. And let's check here. And it's also updated. Nice. Now we only have to check if it's also in Slack. It is. Nice. So that's how you build kind of a basic newsletter automation for your newsletter. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.